Welcome to Mindset Optimization for Tough Times. Mindset Optimization for Tough Times. Now, my name is Okechinye. I will be the speaker or facilitator for this session. And as I begin to share my slides now, okay, so can you still see my slide? You can still see me, you can still hear me, you can see my slide now. Okay, so that's me in a nutshell. I'm a work psychologist and a business psychologist. I'm an emotional intelligence practitioner, a certified mental health counselor, a career coach, author, and inspirational speaker, and I am the lead consultant of Work Life Solutions Limited. So you are in good hands. I'd like to say a very big thank you to Sages and Scribes consultants for this honor and this privilege to be here on this platform. I do not take it lightly. It's a global platform, and I'm excited that I'm a part of this to share. It's sharing. So it's not speaking of facilitating, it's sharing. It's sharing mindset strategies for the tough times that we are in. So I'd like to say a very big thank you to Sages and Scribes consultants. And I understand that Ben Additional will be joining us later in the program. Now, before I dive deep into the session, I have another icebreaker for us, and I'd like you to listen very carefully to these statements I'm going to make. Listen very, very carefully, okay? Now, when things fall apart, something new can rise up in its place. What does that statement mean to you? Go again to the chat area and share. When things fall apart, something new can rise in its place. Collapse does not only mean devastation, it can also mean new beginning. Listen again. When things fall apart, something new can rise up in its place. Collapse does not only mean devastation, it can also mean new beginnings. What's your understanding of that statement? Hope. Okay. New possibilities. Fantastic. Fantastic. Yeah. What else? What else? What does that statement personally mean to you? I see hope. Yes. I see new possibilities. Yes. Fantastic. There's always hope for survival. Fantastic. And end ushers a new beginning. Yes. New beginnings. Fantastic. Yeah. Okay. You have all answered very well. Now, we are no doubt facing very tough times. I mean, you don't need a prophet. You don't need anybody to tell you that. We're facing very tough times. We are in critical times. We are in tough times, you know, particularly for those of us, a fresh start. Yeah, a new beginning. Open doors. Yes. And end ushers a new beginning. Yes. Chaos doesn't only mean devastation. I throw more light into that. So when you see a building you're passing by and you see a building that is collapsed, that has been destroyed, the tendency is, oh, this building collapsed. But no, there's a second meaning to it. That building could have been intentionally brought down to start a new one. So collapse does not only mean devastation, it can also mean new beginning. You have all answered very well. And I was saying, particularly in this part of the world that we are in, everything that can go wrong in this country has gone wrong. For those of us who are just coming in now, we were looking at mindset optimization for navigating tough times. Mindset optimization for navigating tough times. You know, particularly in this part of the country, in this part of the world that we are in, everything that possibly could go wrong has gone wrong. Meaning security is at an all high. Inflation, very high cost of living, high cost of it's incredible. It's amazing, you know. Religious intolerance, and then the recent flooding that left a lot of people homeless, stranded without any means of livelihood, you know. So people are angrier because the things that have happened to us have left a lot of people broken with trauma, bruised. So people are more angry, they're demotivated, disengaged. Domestic violence is on the high. People are losing hope. Mental health issues are increasing. Suicide rates going up. Just the other day, I mean, it was all over the place in social media of a particular lady who called an Uber and got to Third Mainland Bridge there in Lagos, 3 a.m. We don't really know the truth of the story, but I mean, on the face of it, she left the cab and jumped into the lagoon. I think that was some months back also. We heard of another guy who left his place of work and went straight. He left his place of work and went straight and committed suicide. You know, the business climate is so harsh. The business climate is so harsh. You can imagine a business that somebody who started the business when the cost of diesel was 280 per liter. And today, fast forward today, the cost of diesel is 800 naira per liter. I mean, would that person still be in business? There's a particular lady that I would normally buy snacks from. I normally call her up to buy snacks from, and she does fantastic snacks, fantastic meat pie and small chops. And the other day I called her. She said, oh, I'm not available. So I said, okay, probably she was ill. And so weeks later, I called her again. She still said, oh, I'm not available. I know what has happened to her business. Her business has folded up, but she's unable to tell me so. But even globally, the picture is not even prettier. With the energy crisis, the war in Ukraine, the global recession looming. I listened to the founder of Amazon yesterday, was talking about the global recession that is looming. It's not yet there, but it's looming, it's coming. The devastating effects of flood, we saw it all over the place. Florida, as a result of global warming. The high cost of living, guess what? It's not only in Nigeria. My children in the UK are complaining, bread, milk, basic things. The cost of living is skyrocketing. And all of these issues have a tendency. What's the effect of all of this? Affecting our mental health. People are broken. People are losing hope. People are giving up. And I was looking at some statistics the other day, according to National Institute of Mental Health. It says approximately 43.8 million adults will experience mental health issues. And that figure is increasing. This was some time I saw the statistics. If we were to look at that statistics today, I'm sure it will be much higher. It says approximately 16 million live with depression, anxiety disorder, stress, and other kinds of mental health issues. So what does this, say to us, ladies and gentlemen? As the world increasingly becomes a den of despair, desolation, look, there's hardly any day. In short, I decided the other day that I was going to stop reading the news from my phone. Because after I wake up in the morning and I open my phone to say, okay, what's going on? It's one horror story or the other. And just the other day, I was saying to myself that, no, I wasn't going to listen to the news anymore. So as the world increasingly becomes a den of despair, of desolation, of hopelessness, one thing or the other, all of a sudden, the pandemic was upon us. Nobody predicted. It happened just upon us without any warning. Do we know what other virus is going to happen the next year or tomorrow? So the issues just can come back to back. With no hope, with the end of all of this, nowhere in sight. We must now begin to look inwards, ladies and gentlemen. We must now begin to look inwards to build the resilience, mental capacity, hope that we need to survive in these times, so that we do not, fall apart like a pack of cards, or lose hope, or get stuck in what I call a mindset of learned hopelessness, or as some people are doing, or end it all. We must now begin to look inwards to see how we can survive the times, protect our mental health, because mental health issues are skyrocketing. I was sharing with a group some days back of a particular lady who was going to work on this morning, and she ran stark naked into the road. A middle-aged woman, somebody's mother, somebody's wife, she was stark naked and jumped into the road. And then I looked behind her husband, a guy was inside the car going after her, which I assumed was her husband. So we must now begin to look inwards to build the mental capacity, the resilience that we need so that we can survive and even thrive. If we believe that collapse does not only mean devastation, then we need to find the inner resources to enable us thrive, rather than spiraling downwards, abusing substances, getting stuck in a mindset of learned helplessness, or even ending it all, as some people do. So that is what today's session is all about, to help us build the resilience, a more positive mindset, a can-do spirit that will help us navigate the times. I'd like us to listen to these 3 scenarios before we do this quiz that is on my slide. I'd like us to listen very carefully to these scenarios. You can still hear me, you can still see me. You are following me up until this time. Can I see some thumbs up and some yeses in the chat area? Yes, fantastic. Okay. So listen very carefully to these 3 scenarios, okay? And then we'll have some conversations around them before we proceed. Now, 2 people were laid off at the same time because, of course, we know of the global recession. Organizations are thinning down, are streamlining, laying off staff. So 2 people were laid off at the same time because their company was downsizing. And then the first person says, oh, it's now over. It's over for me. How can they do this to me? After giving 20 years of my life and without warning, they do this to me? How am I going to start? Where am I going to start from? With 3 mouths to feed? And then the second person says, oh, it's their loss. I have given 20 years of my best. It's now time to channel the same energy, skills, and talents that I've acquired over the years and build my own business, something that I can call my own. The same scenario, the same event happening to the 2 people, and 2 different reactions. 2 different reactions to them. Now, here's the second scenario. 2 ladies were in the restaurant one evening, of course, chatting and having a nice time. And a 3rd lady was just walked in and was passing by, and she tripped and almost fell down by the table because one of the ladies had put her bag somewhere outside of the chair. And this lady who almost tripped turns to them and speaks very rudely to them. You should have put your bag better. This is a thoroughfare. This is a thoroughfare. You should have put your bag better, and said some unprintable things to them. One of the ladies who was sitting down got up and began to exchange words with the lady who almost tripped. But the second lady she was having lunch with sat still, cool, did not utter a word. Again, ladies and gentlemen, the same event happening, 2 different reactions. Listen to the 3rd scenario. We were in a business meeting several years ago, and a lady got up and said she wanted to share something and how we needed to buy our peace. And we asked her, what does it mean to buy your peace? And she said, I think I shared this story on this same platform when I made a comment the last month, Learn and Connect series. So she said the lady traveled and she came back earlier to meet her husband in bed with a strange woman. I don't know what some people call them, strange women. Some people call them side chicks, whatever it is, but I'm sure you understand what I'm talking about. She said she returned earlier and saw her husband on their matrimonial bed with a side chick or a strange woman or whatever we choose to call them. And she maintained her cool. And she said to her husband, oh, did you miss me that much? Can we mute, please? And she opened the door and let out the side chick or the strange woman, whatever it is that we choose to call that person. And she began to attend to her husband. Now, listen carefully. Another lady, and this was all over social media, another lady sees her husband in a car with a side chick and gives a hot chase and a hot pursuit. You didn't catch them in bed. You just saw him in the car and you chased after, and that ended up having an accident that led to your death. Now, given the scenarios that I have just shared, there are very important questions that arise from the stories, true life stories. We need to begin to ask ourselves, what is responsible for the difference in the reactions? Why are some people able to stay calm in the face of such intense pressure and adversity and stressful adverse events, whilst others lose it completely or collapse like a pack of cards or behave irrationally? end their lives, abuse substances, give up hope? What is it that makes certain people survive, adapt, recover, and even thrive after going through adversity and tough times, whilst other people spiral downwards into a personal decline? How come certain people go through intense pressure and they even emerge better? What's responsible for all of these things? I'd like to see some answers in the chat area before we do one or two exercises and then we proceed. What are your thoughts? Why are some people able to stay calm in the face of such pressure, and other people lose it and give up hope and behave in irrational ways? What are your thoughts? Perception, fantastic. I like Olufunke says perception. Beautiful, I like that. What else? Ability to frame, fantastic. I like the words. Are you a psychologist? That word frame is not an ordinary frame, Olufunke. Fantastic, it's not an ordinary word. Perception, yeah. Positive attitude, ability to frame. I like Reverend Emmanuel says positive. I love the words that I'm seeing here. Yes. Okay, she's laughing. And I love that we are engaging because, I mean, e-learning, the times where it comes from sharing our experiences, bringing all our thoughts together so that we leave this place better equipped to navigate the times that we are in. Adversity management, fantastic. Yes, what else? Okay, so let's go back to the flip side. For those, ability to manage themselves, seeing good in the bad situation, fantastic. Now, let's go over to the flip side. For those who do not manage it properly, resilient skills. So for those who do not manage it properly, what's responsible? We've talked about those who are able to manage. We've talked about positive mindset. We've talked about adversity management, and we've all answered fantastically well. We've talked about ability to frame. We've talked about perception. So let's go back to the flip side. For those who are not able, who behave irrationally, who end it all, who commit suicide, who begin to scream and shout, what's responsible for their own reactions? Inability to generate options, fantastic, fantastic. Yes, I like that. Inability to generate options, yes. What else? What else? Loss of pessimistic mindset, beautiful. Loss of self-esteem, fantastic. We've all answered very well. Now let's look at this let's look at this quiz. Limited focus about the future, fantastic. Let's look at this this quiz, okay? We'll answer true or false to this quiz. I just put this. Negative thinking, yes, limited focus about the words. We've all answered correctly. Now, here's what I'd like you to do, going again to the chat area. True or false to the following questions, or to the following statements. If you feel it is true, if you feel it is false, go to the chat area. Just put number 1 F or number 1 T, so I will know the number that you're answering true or false. Your mind can be your greatest weapon for success or your greatest setup for failure. If you think it is true, if you think it is false, go to the chat area and put and let me know. Number two, you are human, therefore you are bad at false attributions. Number 3, you can't help it when people act in certain ways towards you. Number 4, how you perceive and feel about your experiences, whether sad or joyful, has nothing to do with your inner thoughts, your feelings, attitudes, and beliefs. Number 5, before we are able to attach feelings like joy, excitement, frustration, and anger to any given experience, we must first understand it by giving the experience context. If you think it is true, if you think it is false, we are incapable of rushing to judgments or sticking rigidly to one interpretation of facts, true or false. It is impossible to be present at work and absent at the same time. True or false? Let me see what we have in the chat area. Okay. Number 1 says that we are true. Yeah, your mind can be your greatest weapon. Fantastic. Yes. Number 2, you are human, therefore you are bad. False. Yes, that's a very big false. You are human, and so you are very good. We are very good at false attributions because of our beliefs, our mindset, our personality, and we'll see all of that as we proceed. Number 3, you can't help it when people act in certain ways. Number 3, false. So Bernard, are you saying that we can help it? We'll see. As we go along, we'll see whether we answered correctly or not. How we perceive or feel about our experiences. Okay. Number 4, What did we answer? I haven't seen any answer for number 4. Number 3, yes. Number 3, true. No, number 3 is false. You can help it. As you would see, as we proceed. You can't help it when people behave. Okay, there's some sense of true and false. Yes, you can't help their own actions, but you can help your own reactions. Yes. I haven't seen any answer for 4. Do we have answers for 4? How we feel about our experiences, sad or joyful, has nothing to do with our inner. Number 4, how we feel about our experience has nothing. It has a lot to do with our inner, the thoughts, as we will see as we proceed. Before we are able to attach, we must first, so number 5. What did we say about number 5? Number 5 is true. Fantastic. Thank you, Larry. We are incapable of rushing to judgments or sticking to. Number 6, false. Thank you, Larry. Number 6, yes. Number 6, true. No, it is false. It is impossible to be present at work and absent at the same time. Number 7, what are our thoughts about number 7? What are our thoughts about number 7? It is impossible to be present at work and absent at the same time. I'm not saying we are witches. Number 7, have you heard of the concept? It is possible, presentism. Have you heard of present? If you've heard of presentism, let me know. You are present there, but you are absent, totally absent at the same time. So it is possible to be present. Yes. Presentism. Yes. You can be present at work but totally absent, adding no value. I will skip the second activity, but we'll come back to it. Now, take a look at this. For all those things that all the quiz, all the answers that we gave, we are capable of rushing, we are prone to rushing to judgments. We are all of that. Now take a look at this model. SAFETBO model. Where do our responses to events come from? And we have all answered fantastically well. Thank you so much for participating in that. So the next question we need to ask ourselves is, when things happen to us, when adverse effects happen to us, how do we respond? Where does our response come from? How do we react to the things that we react to? Do we just react like that? We saw the same event happening to the same ladies. One was able to stay calm. The other was, began to scream. We saw a particular lady meeting her husband, which is a very painful event, meeting her husband in bed with another woman, and she was able to stay calm, whilst another one saw her husband in a car with another young lady and she lost it. We saw those two people losing their job at the same time. One saying, "Oh, I'm done for. How could they do this to me?" And another saying, "Oh, thank God, I've given 20 good years of my life. It is now time to move on." So where do our reactions, behavior and actions, the responses we give to events, particularly adverse events, where do they come from? When things happen to us, we do not just react. No, our actions or responses do not just fall upon the sky. When we encounter adversities, ladies and gentlemen, we immediately go into a journey. We immediately embark on a journey. Now, S is stimulus and triggers. Triggers and stimulus are the same thing. All of these things that we're talking about, all of the long fuel queue, the harsh business environment, everything that we are talking about. And later we'll go into the church area and talk about our own personal triggers. So stimulus and triggers are all of the things that are happening to us that are causing us stress, that are causing us unhappiness, that are causing us to be distressed, that are causing us to be anxious, to develop anxiety disorder, that are causing people to jump into the lagoon, that are causing us to react in these irrational ways. That's stimulus and triggers. And it is different for every other person. It is different for people. Now, when you encounter a stimulus, ladies and gentlemen, or a trigger, you first give meaning to it. So those who said we give meaning to things, we're right, we're correct. We first give meaning, we give meaning to it immediately. And the meaning we give to it enables us to form an attitude around it. If that meaning is a negative meaning, we immediately develop a negative attitude around it. The attitude that we develop begins to affect our body, our feelings and emotions. If it is a negative attitude, immediately it evokes negative emotions inside all of us. Sadness, stress, depending on the meaning that we give to it. And that feeling and emotions that we begin to feel now causes us to begin to think certain thoughts. I am a failure. She's wicked. He's rude. We begin to think thoughts in our head. Now, the thoughts that we think now cause us to behave in certain ways or respond in certain ways. And our responses, the way we respond, of course, will definitely lead to the outcomes that we get out of life. So the person who responds in an irrational way, it leads to a negative outcome. So ladies and gentlemen, if the attitude that we held about that event, if the meaning that we gave to it was such a meaning, it spirals down to a negative feeling and emotions, negative thoughts, negative behavior, negative outcomes. It then follows that stimulus and triggers may not necessarily be our problem. Stimulus and triggers you cannot change. They're all over the place. You cannot help, we cannot control the things that happen to us in life. Life will always happen. Businesses will fail. Relationships will falter. People will disappoint you. People will be rude to you. The economy will be harsh. All over the world, nations are not having it funny. Ukraine didn't ask for the war. We may not be able to control, yes, we may plant trees, but we may not be able to control all the adverse effects of global warming. And so certain stimulus and triggers are outside of your control, no matter how careful you are and how intentional you are about your life. We may not be able to control all of the triggers that happen to us. And guess what? Triggers are everywhere. In the workplace, a rude boss, an unreasonable boss, insane deadlines. In this age of digitalization, the emails just keep coming. Crazy emails we need to respond to. Uncooperative colleagues, subordinates who do not deliver. In the workplace, that husband, that wife, the children, everything is causing us anxiety. And the anxiety is mounting and building up. You may not be able to control the stimulus or triggers, but you can control your attitude. The meaning that you give to it. Because as human beings, we are good at false attribution. We are prone to rushing to judgments and sticking rigidly to one interpretation of facts. As humans, we are prone to exaggeration. We hold biases, in our cognitive content about certain things. The beliefs that we hold about ourselves, about the world, about the people around us, about the situations that we encounter, sometimes it is the mind lying to us. So we personalize. Personalization, all of those cognitive distortions. We personalize, we blow things out of proportion. Something happens when we expect that negative thing to always spiral. We catastrophize, we minimize, because of our own self-belief, we minimize our ability to overcome. We overgeneralize things. We see a negative pattern once, and so because that happened once, it must always happen. We apply mental filters, selective attention. We focus only on the negative, and selective attention says when you focus only on the negative, guess what happens? It blows up, it magnifies. Whatever it is that you focus on magnifies. So we apply mental filters, we filter all of the positive things out and focus solely on the negative things. So the people who are losing it all are applying these filters. They're seeing. Why will somebody end it up? Why will you end your life at 30-something when you still have about 40-something years? You must have concluded that your best is over, that the remaining 40-something years, nothing good would happen. That's a mental filter you're applying. Frustration, certain people, it's because of frustration intolerance. That's another cognitive distortion. I can't stand it. They cannot stand adversity at all. They are so high on frustration intolerance. For some people, it is emotional reasoning that is their issue. Once I feel a certain way, therefore it must be true. No. Emotions are tricky. The fact that you are feeling, which is why I asked you how you felt in the beginning of the session, the fact that you are feeling that particular way does not necessarily mean it has anything to do with what's happening to you in real. It doesn't have to be your reality. So all of these are what is increasing our stress in this. Yes, the times are bad. Yes, the times are critical. But some people are performing optimally. Some people, it's not affecting their mental well-being. But some people are not having it easy. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, the brain prefers to focus on what could go wrong. Haven't you ever wondered why bad news spreads very fast? If somebody puts something on social media about somebody getting a promotion, it won't even trend. But put gossip, put bad news, and it starts to trend. That's because the human brain prefers to focus on what could go wrong. Another thing that is skyrocketing up the adversity and depression that we are feeling is our personality type, the way we are wired. Your personality type is how you are wired. According to personality traits, the big 5, our personality traits, each person has a score on openness to experience. We call it the big 5, Ocean: openness to experience, conscientiousness, extraversion, agreeableness, and neuroticism. The last trait, neuroticism. Some people are so high on neuroticism. This is the tendency to always experience negative emotions, have negative feelings, irrespective of what's going on. And this could lead to mental issues. So for people who are high on neuroticism right now, they are not seeing anything good. For people who are applying mental filters right now, they are not seeing opportunities. And guess what? When you focus on the negative, the positive filters away. Your ability to see solutions, your ability to problem solve, your ability to behave rationally is disabled. Another reason why some people are not having it good has to do with the fact that, let me pause now and let's do a brief exercise. This is still talking about our personality type. I'd like us to pause now and do a brief exercise here. Here's what I'd like you to do. Get a sheet of paper. Get a sheet of paper and with one hand write your name. Get a sheet of paper. I don't know if you have a sheet of paper there, or if you can get one. Those who can get one, I'd like to just know what their experiences are. With one hand, write your name. Now turn to the second hand and write your name with the second hand. Now, I'd just like 2 or 3 people to quickly, because we still have a lot of things to share, to just quickly share your experience with me writing with both hands.
Hello.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. Good morning. My name is
Okay.
Yeah, okay. So I use my right on a normal day. It was easy and fast. But as I'm talking to you, I'm actually struggling.
You're struggling, yeah.
With my left hand. So yeah,
Sure.
it's a bit of struggle.
It's a bit of struggle. And the writing, how is the writing? Clear, unclear?
For lack of better words, jaga jaga.
Jaga jaga. Okay. And your hand may be a bit painful, trying to hold up a biro.
Yes,
and
even
of
my
course,
sitting position has changed.
Exactly. And the writing will be slow.
Yes.
Wow, fantastic. Yeah, that's that. Thank you so much. Now, that simple exercise is the way we are wired, about our personality type. Across 4 dimensions, whether we are extroverted or introverted, whether we are the sensing people, sensors, where we get our energy from, across 4 dimensions, where we get our energy from, whether we are extroverted or introverted. The second dimension is the how we live our life in the outer world, whether we are the structured people. Those are the judges. A must be A, B must be B. They are very structured, or you are the judges. You are flexible. The third dimension is how you make your decisions. Are you a rational person? Are you a thinker, or you are a feeler? For the thinkers, they are very logical people. They do not consider, we were supposed to start at 11. We ought to have started at 11. I don't care what happened. Or you were supposed to come here by 8. I don't care whether your child was ill or not. You were not here. Those are the thinkers. Those are the logical people. The feelers are those who factor in the feelings of people. They come into people and they factor in their feelings. And then the 4th dimensions are the what you trust to make your decisions, the facts you trust to make your decisions. You have the thinkers. You have the sensors and the intuitive people. The intuitive people are those who see the big picture. The sensors are those who prefer the hard facts, what they can touch, what they can see, what they can smell. Now, based on this classification, certain situations will cause you stress. Certain people will cause you stress. For those who are judges, I don't think they are finding it funny in the uncertainty of the times, because they are such structured people, because they thrive on routine. The current world of work is such an uncertain place. We are currently in the VUCA world of work, where things are volatile, things are uncertain. The business climate is so harsh and so uncertain. Today you wake up, price has gone down. Tomorrow we don't even follow dollars anymore so that we don't have heart attack. So for the judges, they are not finding it funny. For the thinkers, they are not currently not finding it funny. But guess what? For people who are intuitive, the big picture kind of people, those are the ones who are seeing solutions in the midst of all of this chaos. Another reason why people are ending it up, we are still talking about why people are experiencing all the things that are experiencing before we go to mindset optimization strategies. But I just want to tie it in neatly to see why some people are behaving the way they behave, why some people seem to have lost hope, why people are angrier. We all know of what is called the amygdala hijack. If you've heard of the amygdala hijack, just go to the chat area and let me know. The amygdala hijack. I know that there are professional psychologists, mental health professionals here. So just go to the chat area. Now go on. You know, the amygdala are a cluster of almond-shaped cells that are located at the base of the brain. They are located at the base of the brain. Okay, somebody says yes, fantastic. No, ma. Okay, I'll try to explain it in layman's language. Now, the amygdala is a cluster of cells that are located at the base of the brain. They are on two on each side of the brain. So you have on the right side, on the left, that they help define and regulate emotions. They are part of the brain's limbic system, and they are what is responsible for flight or flight. So when things happen to you, they help you identify the emotion and they help you define it and regulate it, the emotions. So they are the emotional part of the brain. Then you now have another part of the brain that is called the front lobes. These are part of the cerebral cortex of the brain. This part of the brain is responsible for rational behavior, decision-making, reasoning. They regulate thinking, they regulate decision-making, they regulate planning, they regulate everything. But these reactions, of course, you and I know that these reactions are not automatic. It's the amygdala reactions that are automatic. Now, when things happen to you in the event of a threat or event of adversity, the amygdala will quickly jump in to define it, to give meaning to it, of course. And when it wants to behave excessively, when it wants to overblow that situation, I'm trying to define it in layman's language. When it wants to overblow that reaction, guess what happens? The front lobes will quickly jump in and override the amygdala so that you're able to still behave rationally, you're able to still plan, to still think clearly and all of that. But guess what happens when you encounter very harsh and very adverse reactions? When that reaction is so harsh, the amygdala, of course, jumps in to define it. Then the frontal lobes comes in to try to regulate. But guess what? The amygdala hijacks the frontal lobes, and that is not good at all. When it hijacks the frontal lobes, of course, your ability to behave rationally, your ability to plan, your ability to come up with a logical, or even to recall, becomes disabled. And that's where you find people who behave irrationally. That's where you see somebody shouting. You're wondering why is the person shouting? The person is telling you, am I shouting? Am I shouting? But his voice is even louder. His frontal lobes have been disabled. Amygdala has hijacked him. So his ability to recall, to think clearly, to think logically has been disabled. That's why you have somebody jumping into the lagoon. That's why you have somebody slapping somebody. That's why you have somebody screaming at the top of their voice with no control. Amygdala, we'll call it an amygdala hijack. So enough of all of these problems. What is the solution now? Triggers are all over the place. The workplace, the business, the home environment, the community, the nation, wherever you go, there are triggers. We have also seen that our personality can cause us to blow things out of proportion. We have also seen that as humans, we are prone to cognitive distortions. We personalize, we over-exaggerate, we catastrophize, we minimize, we apply mental filters. Emotional reason, if I'm feeling this way, it must be this way. No, the fact that you woke up feeling hopeless doesn't mean that your reality is a hopeless one. It's a mental filter that you're applying. It's a cognitive distortion. It is your mind lying to you, and you can overcome it. We have also seen that we're not able to do anything. We may not be able to do anything to the stimulus and all of the triggers. So what then can we do? What then can we begin to do? Just get to the right slide. We'll do this exercise much later. Now, we may not be able to control some of the things that life throws at us, but we saw that we can control our attitude, we can control our reactions, we can control the mental filters, we can control the perceptions, we can control our emotions and our feelings. And I'm now going to be going into strategies that we can use to alter the attitudes, the meaning we give to things, how we can build our emotional, our mental resilience, our emotional intelligence, so that we can navigate these times without collapsing, without giving into personal decline. I will not be sharing some of the strategies now, but first, I'd like you to take a look at this picture. Take a look at this picture. And can you tell me what is wrong with this picture? Go to the chat area and just tell me your own opinion. What is wrong? Or if there's nothing wrong with it, just let me know. You can say there's nothing wrong with it, or you can say, if you want to unmute, it will be nice to hear your voice. But if you want to go to the chat area and put, what do you think is wrong with this picture? Do you think there's something wrong with this picture? Or somebody asked a question, sorry, does it react same way in left-handed people? Are you talking about, Mayo, are you talking about the hand exercise? Is this question related to the hand exercise?
Hello, ma. It's related to the amygdala you spoke about.
Oh, amygdala, does it react the same way in left-handed people? I don't understand the question. I thought we were talking about the hand exercise.
Yes.
The hand exercise we did.
No, the amygdala, you spoke about reactions of people, and now it connects to the brain, the frontal lobe, and stuff like that. So, as we have actually been made to understand that the right side of the brain functions better for the left-handed people, while the left side of the brain functions better for the right-handed people. So I'm just trying to understand whether this amygdala of it reacts same way in both left-handed people.
No, it doesn't have anything to do whether you are left-handed or right-handed. No, the front lobes are on the front. The cerebral, the part of the cerebral cortex, the cerebral cortex part of the brain. The front lobes are part of the cerebral cortex, which is a part of the brain. It has nothing to do with whether you are left or right-handed. What I was saying is that the amygdala, when the amygdala steps in to define that emotion, the front lobes tries to come in to prevent something irrational from happening. But in the case of very harsh and very intense, when we are psychologically distressed, highly psychologically distressed, the amygdala hijacks and disables. It disables both. It disables, and that's why you see people behaving irrationally. I don't know if that answers the question. I'm trying to understand your own question so I can answer it rightly. If it doesn't, I'll ask that, can we move it to the end so that I can finish the slides and then we can have 30 full minutes of discussions. Is that okay?
Okay, ma.
Okay, fine. Okay, so in answer to this picture, somebody says, okay, Tosin says they are both disabled, but one is dwelling on his problem, the other is making his best. What's wrong with the other person? The person sitting down, what's the person's disability? Can you please unmute?
Ma, because he's sitting, we can't really tell. He may be lame.
Okay.
He may be blind.
Okay.
So that's why I'm saying they look, although from sitting, it looks like he's just dwelling on his problem. He looks
not dwelling on the problem. Reverend Emmanuel says he's fat and full. I like that. He's not physically disabled. He's fat and full. He's fat. Perception on the picture is key. Well, the guy sitting on the ground is physically able. He's not disabled.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. That's yes. What I'm saying.
Yes.
He has his hands. He has his hands.
Yeah.
He has the two legs.
Okay.
And he just feel that people should pity him, being a fat man that can't walk well.
Okay.
While the person that's physically challenged, money and pain.
Oh my God. What else can we read? What else can we? He's weak in the mind. Beautiful. Mayowa, you just put it aptly. Disability is in the mind. Disability is in the mind. Being capable sometimes and incapable. The greatest disability of a man is in the mind. For goodness sake, look at the person who is disabled is the one giving the full-bodied person, is the one pitying a full-bodied man and giving him the token. The greatest disability is not in your body. See, whether you believe you can or you can't, you are right, ladies and gentlemen. Whether you believe that you can or you believe that you can't, you are right. We have seen that we are prone to false attributions as human beings. That's what is wrong with this guy. We rush to judgments that are not right. We personalize, we catastrophize. He is minimizing his own abilities. It's a cognitive distortion that is wrong with him. He's not physically disabled. He's mentally disabled because he has applied a cognitive distortion. Probably he lost his job. That's why he's sitting down there. So he has applied a cognitive distortion. He has mentally filtered and says, okay, this is the end of me. I'm not able to, I cannot rise. Meanwhile, the guy who's physically disabled is the one who's giving him substance. The greatest disability, ladies and gentlemen, is not in your body. It's not at the fact that you lost your job. It's in your mind. Whether you believe you can survive the times we're in or you do not, you are right. Let's quickly begin to go to the mindset strategies. There's a lot I would have said, but I need to begin to rush now because of our time. And I think we need to begin. I would like us to have some time to really dig into some of these concepts. We have to identify our personal stimulus and how we can apply and navigate some of the things that life throws at us. The first one I want to talk about is reframing. And somebody already talked about psychologically reframing. Mindset optimization is about shifting the focus. We have seen, ladies and gentlemen, that we may not be able to do anything about the stimulus or the triggers that we encounter. They're all over the place. They're all over, they're everywhere. So mindset optimization is about shifting the focus from the triggers to optimizing our mind, to utilizing our mind in a way that works for us and not against us. That guy's mind was working against him. Because when you keep looking at the stimulus, it magnifies. It was Jack Ma who said, you want to feel a problem? Focus on it. When you focus on your triggers, you constantly engage in your fight-flight mode. So when you are constantly looking at your triggers, you are always in the fight and the flight mode. And guess what? Remember what we said. Your ability to problem solve and engage in rational thinking, find a solution, will be disabled. When you constantly focus on your triggers, you lose hope. You walk away from opportunities because in the first place, you don't even see the opportunities. You do not try enough. You do not step out of your comfort zone. You get stuck. You give up or you end it all. So what is reframing? Simply put, reframing is thinking of the negative in a more positive way. It involves presenting an alternative possible explanation or interpretation or perception. Somebody talked about perception of an experience. This new interpretation then facilitates a change, such as a more positive emotion, a more positive mindset, or a more positive outcome. Simply put, or in layman's language, reframing involves thinking about a negative, challenging situation in a more positive way. To reframe, you simply step back, look at the situation from different angles, in a different light, through a different lens. Ask yourself, what am I assuming here? How am I interpreting this that is causing me stress? Is there another way I can interpret it? One example of reframing is redefining a problem as a challenge. When you redefine it as a challenge, not as a problem, it enlivens you. Problem has that heavy quality, that depressing quality, but challenge has a more enlivening quality. What are the principles that underline the concept of reframing? And I need you to listen very carefully. Nothing means anything except the meaning you give to it. And the meaning you give to it, ladies and gentlemen, is not the only meaning. Options are always available. The meaning you give to it depends on the mental lens, the mental filter, the lens in which you are using to look at it. Your assumptions may be wrong. Your perceptions may be wrong. Nothing means anything except the meaning you give to it. If you have only one option, take a pause because your emotions may have overruled you. Amygdala may have hijacked you, your frontal lobes. You need to understand the following, that you may not be able to control steam, but you can control your perceptions. So get into the habit of asking yourself anytime you feel stressed, what am I assuming here? So the single lady who assumes that, who feels stressed because she's not married at 38 or 40, what is she assuming? Are you not assuming that all married people are happy? And is that true that all married people are happy? So if you're saying that you are 38, your biological clock is going and you're not married, so that is causing you stress, question your assumption. Are all married people happy? If I give up, the person who gives up in the face of the current reality, is the person not assuming that nobody else is making it? And is that true? If you commit suicide at 34, are you not concluding or assuming that nothing else can come out of your life? So get into the habit of asking yourself, how am I interpreting this? How else can I interpret it? What are my options? What am I not seeing? Nothing means anything except the meaning that you give to it. The glass, yes, we know that the glass is half empty, but take a look again. Is that same glass not half full? So you can choose your meaning. Choose your meaning in a way that it enhances your mental well-being. The lady who walked into her husband on her matrimonial bed with another, she chose her meaning. She defined it in a way that enhanced her mental health. Oh, this is not about me. This is about him. He needs help. He's morally unstable. I should pity him as my husband, and I should help him. The one who sees her husband in bed with a side chick and carries the gun and shoots the husband, shoots the one, shoots herself. It's personalizing. Yes, it is painful, but it's saying this has to do with me. Perhaps because I have gotten too fat. Perhaps because I'm not good enough. He's doing this to me because I'm not good enough. I learned of the lady, I don't know how far this is true. I learned of the lady who set herself ablaze. I hope that is not true. She said, I heard she set herself ablaze in front of the husband or in front of the boyfriend. I can't really remember the story because we read all kinds of things on social media. Reframing can also be by focusing on a higher purpose. For the sake of what are you willing to endure what? These are some of the things that will help you reframe. If you forget anything, remember that nothing means anything except the meaning that you give to it. The meaning you give to it is not the only meaning. Options are always available. Mindset optimization is about shifting the focus. And I would like us to listen to this video about reframing.
If you adopt the mindset that I'm going to...
Can we see the video? Can we hear it before I proceed? It's a video on reframing. Focusing on the higher purpose. For the sake of what am I willing to endure what? Always, there's always a higher purpose. What focusing on the higher purpose allows you to do is it allows you to bear the current reality because you are focusing on an expected future, a higher purpose. For the sake of what am I willing to endure what? Now can I see some yeses for this video so that we can quickly proceed? We have about 10 strategies we want to talk about, but I don't know if we'll be able to talk about all of them in the time. Yes, okay. So let's listen to the video.
In this video, your life can actually change. So please pay close attention to this video. Don't be fooled by the simplicity of this idea and watch this video till the very end. Hey guys, welcome back to Inside Junkie. And today I'm going to tell you about the power of a reframe. All the successful people I've ever seen have used this mindset without even knowing about it. Now, it took me years of studying these people to finally understand that this is what they were doing. And now I'm passing off that information to you. Now, most of us have had bad stuff happen to us. For some of us, it has been worse than others. There is no way to escape that. That is part of life. But what all successful people know how to do is to reframe the experiences they have had in a way that moves them closer towards their goals. This is much different than positive thinking. You can call this purposeful thinking. Now, before I tell you about this, I need you to understand that there are two kinds of realities in this world. One is objective reality, which consists only of facts, and one is subjective reality, which is how you see the world. Now, when you indulge in purposeful thinking, it doesn't matter what objective reality is. It doesn't matter if what happened was good or bad. All that matters is that you're able to view the situation from an angle that gives you the greatest peace of mind and helps you move forward in your life. Always remember this. Do and believe only that which moves you further towards your goals. I'll give you an example. Let's say you were born in a poor household, so you had to struggle growing up. You failed your university exams because you were sick. You got fired from your first job for being late. Now, most people, after having these experiences, would say something along the following lines. I'm unlucky. I was born in a poor household, and this is why I got a bad education. I am unhealthy, and so I get sick very easily. I got fired because my boss hates me, and the whole world is unfair. Now, I'm not going to tell you to think positively if this is what has happened to you, because you know what? Even if you had said those things after having those experiences, you would be right. You actually might be unlucky, and maybe your boss does hate you. But now tell me, does that really do anything for you? Does that move you ahead in your life in any way? Absolutely not. So let's try to reframe that situation. You were born in a poor household, so now you know how to struggle. You are tough, and you can survive anywhere. Getting sick was a lesson for you to take care of your health. And getting fired taught you that you should always be on time, no matter what the occasion. You see, the events were exactly the same. Nothing actually changed. But just because of the reframe, now you have learned so much from your own life that you hadn't even thought of before. This is why I don't always make videos on books. I try to make videos like this one so I can give you the tools that you need in life so that you can learn very important lessons from your own life. So now I'll give you a very important exercise that if you do this correctly, not only will you feel a lot better after doing it, your entire perspective of your life will change. This is something I made for myself, and I call it the reframe exercise. Write down all the events that you think were bad in your life. Every single thing that is bothering you right now. If you had a divorce or breakup, if you lost your job, if you got bad grades at school, whatever problems you have faced in your life that you think have been holding you back, write them down. And now, the most powerful thing you can do for yourself is to reframe those situations in a way that makes them valuable lessons for your life. Here's how you can do this. I got fired from my job because, and now you insert your reframe. It taught me how to be punctual. I lost my life savings because it taught me how to invest wisely. I'll tell you something else. This technique is only as powerful as you can make it. If you tell me that, oh man, you don't even know how hard my life has been, then you might not be able to use this technique. Because the point is, no matter how hard your life has been, it is your responsibility and yours alone to learn something from it. Even if you've felt something so painful that you cannot describe it in words, you can still tell yourself that because you've had that pain, you can now help others who are going through that pain. You can stop others from experiencing that pain. See, that is the power of a reframe. I truly believe that if everyone learns to do this with their life, we can really change the world. Now, I don't know if this one video will change the world, but all I hope is that I can change your life just a little bit with these videos. Life is hard, but it can certainly be made easier if we know these tools. Thank you for watching my videos and supporting me. I haven't been able to make any videos in the past few days because I was really busy traveling, but now
Okay. What are your thoughts? Any thoughts before we go to strategy number 2? Our time, it's amazing how much time has gone. So I need to begin to rush now. So just write this down. What are your thoughts? Reframe your own, identify your own triggers and reframe them in a way that it will enhance your productivity and sense of well-being. But just somebody share your thoughts. What do you think about that before we go to the second one? Or any thoughts, anything you want to share concerning the concept of reframe? You've used it before, not, and all of that. Just one person, and then we can proceed.
Hello.
Yes, I can hear you. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Yeah. Okay. So for me, I think I've not tried it before. I've been the other side whereby I dwell in whatever negative experiences I have gone through. But right now, it's teaching me actually a mindset shift that no matter how bad a situation has been or will be for you, there's always something good or something positive that will always that can come out of it. So that's just look at the positive, that there's something, that's just it.
Fantastic. Okay. Thank you so much for sharing. Any other person? Okay, then strategy number 2. Anybody wants to say some other thing before I proceed? Okay, visualization. Now, the concept of visualization or the underlying principle of visualization is everything in life is created twice. First in the mind and then in reality. Your mind sees it and your body takes you there. The brain is a pattern matching organ. What it visualizes, it wills the body to believe. It wills the body towards. What the brain visualizes, if it can catch a picture and hold on to that picture clearly and long enough, it begins to will the body towards. Now, there is a deep, listen to me, ladies and gentlemen, there is a deep tendency to become what your mind pictures, provided you hold that mental picture strongly enough and the objective is sound. Visualization breeds expectation, and when you expect the best, you release a magnetic force in your mind, which attracts the best to you. Visualization enables you to focus on a future realization. If you can sustain that expectation enough, it becomes like a fuel to your body. That sustained expectation of the best sets into motion forces that cause the best to materialize. That's the principle behind visualization. I believe so much in the power of visualization because I have had a personal experience, with visualization. long before I began to do what I do now. So I'm sure you saw, for those who were not around when I shared my profile, I'm a work psychologist. I'm a certified mental health counselor. So I'm also a ministry leader. So I teach, I consult, I train, I speak, I coach, I counsel, and I preach, and I teach. But I can't sit here and tell you, I said, some people will come and say, oh, I have been doing this long since my mother gave birth to me for the past 50 years. Well, that is not me. Long before I began to do what I now do, my first degree was in pharmacy. Long before I began to do what I now do, I used to be an extremely shy person, struggling with low self-esteem and battling fear. Fear so bad sometimes it prevented me from stepping out. And of course, definitely, you couldn't imagine that I could stand before a crowd and teach, speak, or train. But several years ago, I caught a picture of, up to date, I don't know how my brain or my mind caught that picture. But I caught a picture of a slim-looking lady standing before a crowd, teaching, motivating, inspiring people. The funniest thing about that picture was, it was so far from my reality at that point in time. In reality, I was an overweight person weighing over 100 kg, battling with low self-esteem, struggling with fear. Remember, I said in my sessions, we are not afraid of being vulnerable, because I consider my sessions as experiences that people come into and they go back better. So we're not afraid of being vulnerable. We share what we struggle with, and we gain tools and strategies, principles, practical principles that can help us as we live. That's how I tailor my sessions. So I'm not afraid of being vulnerable. In reality, I was this overweight adult battling with fear and low self-esteem. But guess what? My mind had caught a picture of that reality, and invariably, it began to will my body towards what my mind had pictured. I began to crave personal development. I began to crave knowledge. I went and did my first master's psychology. I did a second master's in psychology. I began to crave this knowledge. And then I went on a weight loss journey. My mind just began to, unconsciously, my mind began to move towards the picture that my brain had captured. I still engage in visualization. Before I do any training session, whether with corporate organizations, I visualize. I visualize what I want to say. I visualize the emotions I want my participants to have. And then I tailor my sessions to suit what I have visualized. World-renowned personal development coaches, Tony Robbins, that's what they use for their clients, their coaching clients, who are top-level, high-level athletes, high-level coaches. That's what they use. When you see Tiger Woods on the golf course and he's doing that thing he's moving this way, he's moving that way, he's visualizing. He's visualizing the journey he wants the golf ball to go before he hits the ball. He has visualized the journey. Visualization can also work against you. You expect the worst. The brain is a pattern matching organ. It goes and scans for what you have expected or you are. Don't forget, if you can hold that expectation long enough, whether it is bad or good, the brain will go and search for it and bring it to your reality. Then it then becomes what they call in psychology a self-fulfilling prophecy. So visualize the best. You can visualize yourself navigating the current exigencies, the current problems that we have faced. Visualize yourself succeeding in that business, overcoming that obstacle, navigating the current difficulties, pushing beyond the boundaries and limitations. Visualize yourself stepping out of your comfort zone. You can visualize just about anything. Never forget that the brain is a pattern matching organ. I'll just need to rush some of these things, then we can take questions at the end of the session. So please note your questions because we are running out of time. Number one strategy I like to talked about this. These are the principles behind visualization that I talked about that. Emotional intelligence. We cannot talk about a mind mapping session. We cannot talk about emotions and attitudes without talking about emotional intelligence. And I just define it in layman's language. Simply put, emotional intelligence, or EQ or EI as we like to use, is your ability to make intelligent use of your emotions. We've all seen that we all have emotions. Emotions come, we feel emotions from the things that we experience, from being in certain environments, from being in certain spaces. So emotional intelligence simply is making the best or most intelligent use of your emotions in a way that it works for you and not against you. It's the practice of managing your emotions to be both personally and interpersonally effective. It is achieved through the habitual practice of thinking about your feeling and then using it to guide your behavior. Thinking about your feeling and using it to guide your behavior. Effectively blending your thinking and your feeling to make optimal decisions or function optimally. Emotional intelligence is not a single construct. For those of us who are here who may not know much about it, it's not just one word, it's not just a single construct. There are different elements of emotional intelligence, and that's the emotional intelligence framework. So you have the attitude part, you have the feeling, and you have the behavior. Self-regard, under attitudes, you have self-regard, regard for others, self-awareness, awareness of others, self-management, and then relationship management under behavior. So this is a more expanded version of emotional intelligence. These are all the elements. Under attitudes, you see self-regard, regard for others, self-awareness, awareness for others. Under self-management, you have emotional resilience, personal power, goal-directedness, flexibility, connecting with others, authenticity. Under relationship management, you have trust, balanced outlook, conflict handling, interdependence, and emotional expression. This is not an emotional intelligence class, so I'm not going to all of that, but I want to pick just one element, which is self-regard. Self-regard is the degree to which you accept yourself unconditionally. Is the degree to which you accept and value yourself, and it is different from self-esteem. Self-esteem, you may have self-esteem. Your self-esteem may go up or down based on what you have or what's happening, right? But self-regard is unconditional. It's the unconditional, your ability to accept yourself and value yourself unconditionally. And I'm focusing only on self-regard in this aspect where I'm talking about emotional intelligence. Why do I want to focus on self-regard? Self-regard bleeds into all the other elements. If your self-regard is high, you are more likely to be more self-aware. Pay attention to your feelings. If your self-regard is high, you are more likely to believe that you can cope well with the problems that life throws at you. If your self-regard is high, you are more likely to set goals and tie your current reality to your future goals and tweak your behaviors in a way that ensures that you achieve your future goals. If your self-regard is high, you are more able to be flexible in your approach, step out of your comfort zone, tweak your behaviors in ways that work for you and not against you. If your self-regard is high, your personal power will be high. Your confidence will be high. Your belief in your capability will be higher. If your self-regard is high, you are better able to connect with people, manage your relationships, because you will be open. You'll be trusting. If your self-regard is high, you are more able to be authentic. A lot of us fake it in life. We live fake lives, particularly in this dispensation of social media. But if your self-regard is high, the higher you are, the better able are you to be authentic with authentic values, standing for what you believe in. If your self-regard is high, your outlook to life will be balanced. You're able to balance optimism with reality. If your self-regard is high, you are able to manage and control your emotions. If your self-regard is high, you are better able to handle conflicts in a way that is assertive, not aggressive or passive. So you see, self-regard bleeds into all the other, and that's why I'm focusing only on self-regard. So my question to you is, how is your self-regard? How are you doing in the self-regard zone? So here's a mini quiz for us to quickly do. Score yourself on your self-regard. Let me see what's in the chat area. I'm happy to be in your midst. Okay, thank you so much. Okay, I thought it was a question. We're glad to have you here. So quickly do this self-regard quiz. So answer whether you disagree to each of the statements, or if neither agree nor disagree. So if you agree, you score yourself 1. If you disagree, you score yourself 0. If yours is neither agree or disagree, you score yourself half. So for each of the statements, and then take your total score, and then you would see if you are 0, if you are 2.5, 1.5, you are in the mid section, or you are 5. If you are 5, then your self-regard is top notch. And you would be, the higher your self-regard, the higher your emotional intelligence and your ability, the better your ability to navigate the times you are in. So I'm happy with where I am in life. Is that a yes for you? Is that a no? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Is it neither agree nor disagree? I hardly worry about my shortcomings. I get a lot of disagree in this because a lot of people worry about their shortcomings. Remember, the brain prefers to focus on what will go wrong, what is wrong. So a lot of people will find, and a lot of people apply those cognitive distortions and mental filters. So they personalize things and worry a lot about shortcomings. So agree, disagree. Number 3, I do not need encouragement to feel okay about myself. Number 4, I don't need to change anything about who I am to be happy. Number 5, I'm hardly prone to feelings of self-doubt and insecurity or negative self-talk. So I'll give us a few minutes to score ourselves on that. If you want to share, please share. Remember, vulnerability. If you want to share, share. If you don't want to share, just take a score and then see how you can work on your self-regard. The higher your self-regard, the more emotionally intelligent you are, the more you are better able to navigate adversity and even relationships that are significant.
Please, you can check the comment section. People are dropping theirs.
Sorry? Oh, okay, I should check the chat area. Oh, sorry. Okay, fantastic. Okay, yeah. So a lot of us, what I'm seeing is that a lot of us are in the middle zone. Fantastic. A lot of us are, but there are some things you can begin to do to get to 5. A lot of us are in the middle zone. Yeah, half of 5. Yeah. So fine, life is about progression, not perfection. So thank you for being vulnerable, because we could have all been putting 5/5 and 5/5. I've been in sessions where people just put 5/5. Life is about progression. It's not about perfection. So it's okay not to be perfect. It's okay not to be okay. That's why we have sessions like this. So for those of us who want to shore up our self-regard, here are some of the things that you can begin to do that will even help you navigate the times. Get into the habit of validating and affirming yourself instead of waiting for other people to do it. Talk yourself up. Never, ever, ever underestimate your ability to talk yourself up. I am good. I'm okay. It's well. Yes, I may not have it all together now, but things are working out for me. I am making progress. Master your emotions. Focus on what is good about you, because no matter how bad things are, there are some good aspects. There are some good things that are good and okay about you. Remember selective attention. Focus on the positive and it will magnify. Become more self-aware. Know what your triggers are and know your strengths and know how to navigate them. Keep things in clear perspective. Remember, nothing means anything except the meaning you give to it. The same glass that is half empty can also be half full. Look after yourself. Being emotionally intelligent is a holistic activity. Your mental, emotional, and physical states are linked together. So look after yourself. If you feel good about yourself physically, then you'll feel good about yourself emotionally and mentally. The mind, the spirit, and the body are all linked and they all work together. So look after yourself. Exercise. Practice being grateful. Keep a gratitude journal. Document your progress. It will amaze you how much you have accomplished. Even though things are not working now, go and document your progress. It will amaze you how much you have accomplished. And that will shore up your self-regard, your self-confidence, and connect with other people. Connect with people. Get into the habit of noticing what is going on inside of you. Why am I feeling this way? How do I want to feel? And what can I do about how I want to feel? So let's go to the next strategy. All of these are just things that will help you practice emotional intelligence. Get into the habit of picking up what is going on inside of you. Why am I feeling this way? How would I want to feel? Asking yourself these 5 essential questions. What exactly am I feeling right now? How would I like to feel? Remember, emotions are contagious. Emotions are contagious. You can tweak your emotions. You can tweak the emotions you evoke in other people. And that will help you manage your relationships. So emotional intelligence is just like this. So first of all, as you try to do these things, they may feel spooky. As you get into the zone or the habit of asking yourself, why am I feeling this way? And how can I feel? How do I? It may feel spooky, but eventually it becomes an unconscious competence. Just like the driver, somebody who starts to drive newly, when he gets into the zone of conscious competence, is like this. But when he gets into the zone of unconscious competence, he's even driving with one hand, or sometimes looking at his phone, or sometimes it's just, his hands may not even be on the steering. He's moved from unconscious incompetence to unconscious competence. And that's in fact, practicing all of these strategies I've been talking about, reframing, visualization. As you keep doing them, you will find out that they become a part of you. They become a part of your reality, part of your existence, a part of the way you do your things, a part of how you plan. So you see events that ordinarily would cause you stress, you immediately reframe it. You are in a situation that is so difficult, you immediately visualize. So as you continue in all of this, you move to the zone of unconscious competence. Okay, let's move to the next. Any questions in the chat? Irab did say we should note, yes, questions. And I love this class. We are so engaging, so engaging. These are just the attitudes that underpin emotional intelligence. And I think I've said a lot about that. Some small skills, I've talked about this, how to be more emotionally intelligent. I've talked about that. People who practice EI and people who do not. So it doesn't mean that you have it all put together. It just means that you are more in charge and in control. You are at the driver's seat of your life, rather than leaving things to chance. I want to talk about building resilience, using the Thrive Circle of Resilience before we go quickly. This is a tool I want to give to you. It's a tool, it's called the Thrive Cycle of Resilience, that enables us to build resilience at different stages by asking ourselves the right questions and doing what we're supposed to do. So when we encounter adversity, this tool is helping us say, first of all, you first try to survive it. It's a tool that you need to use intentionally. You first try to survive the adversity, and then you adapt, and then you recover, and then you thrive. Now, resilience is simply the process of adapting well in the face of adversity, tragedy, or trauma in a way that prevents you from going down into a downward spiral, but rather becoming stronger and overcoming it. It's a simple act of not giving up, no matter what life throws at you. And believe me, this tool is something we should all have in our toolkit in this season, in these times that we are in. Okay? So survive, the first one, survive, is about how we initially respond to adversity. And all of these strategies I've been talking about will help us. So interpreting that adversity in a way that aids your mental well-being is very important. Reframing that adversity in a way that aids problem solving is very important. Not allowing your amygdala to hijack you is very important. Your self-regard also will help you. If your self-regard is so high, you will believe that no matter how harsh that event is, this too will pass. You will survive it. You will find a way around it. All of these things I've been talking about are tools that will help you in this survive zone, because this is a place where a lot of people get stuck. They begin to dwell in self-denial. Why is this happening to me? How could this have happened to me? I'm sure we've all heard of the story of Who Moved My Cheese. We've all read the book, Who Moved My Cheese? The 4 characters who found cheese. And suddenly the cheese supply got thinned out. 2 quickly found their way around the maze to find an even greater supply of cheese. And the other 2, Sniff and Scurry, found their way. Hem and Haw began to scream, who moved my cheese? Who moved my cheese? Who moved my cheese? Who moved my cheese? Eventually, Hem found his way, but Haw, till I'm speaking to you today, he's still at the cheese station shouting, who moved my cheese? They will always move the cheese. The cheese cannot remain on your breakfast table. The cheese will always be moved. Government policies, harsh business realities will move the cheese. So you want to navigate the survive zone to get into the adapt zone. Stop screaming, who moved my cheese? Get into the habit of reframing. Get into the habit of applying the right tools, interpreting the event in a way. Step out of your comfort zone. And before you know it, you'll find yourself in the adapt zone. The adapt zone is you now making change, adjusting to the changes to prevent it from getting worse. It's about you looking out for support. So what support structures can you look out for? So this is where relationship management is important. We are in the relationship and connectedness economy. Relationships are very key. It's about you finding what support structures you can get out from your family, the church, your neighbors. It's about you stepping out of your comfort zone. A lot of people get stuck here in a mindset of what I call learned helplessness. But can you step out of your comfort zone? Which resources can you draw on? What are you seeing? So ask yourself, what are you seeing? Before you know it, you are well on your way to recovering. Recovering is a stage where you take responsibility. You begin to find options. What options are available? Can you see the options? Actively find solutions, because you know what? Inaction will keep breeding fear, but action will build more confidence. And the more confident you are, the more your options. Find out what works for you. Set clear objectives. Create a survival plan. At the recover zone, you must come up with a survival plan. Yes, things are difficult, but come up with a survival plan. I was stepping out from my estate the other day, and I saw a lady, these black market people who carry jerry cans and stand by the side of the road and sell fuel. when there's fuel queue. For the very first time, I saw a lady, a young lady, holding that. You usually see young boys. I saw a young lady standing by the roadside with that jerry can of black market fuel, selling fuel. That was her survival plan. And can I tell you the truth? She looked educated, but she created a survival plan. A lot of times we feel survival plans are beneath us. And so we rather remain stuck in that place. But it's how it is a survival plan. It's for you to survive. Who says things will not change down the line? So create a survival plan. Take action, do anything and not stay stuck. And then before you know it, you are in the thrive zone. You are thriving. You are reflecting, okay, so what have I learned from this? My head is now above the water. This is the zone where you engage in reflection. What lessons have I learned? How can I apply the lesson so that next time I can move further? Now, this Thrive Circle of Resilience is a cyclical tool because you're either trying to survive something or you're trying to adapt to something. So it's a tool we need to put in our pocket, in our toolkit to use for the times that we are in. I'm going to rush the other strategies so that we can take questions. Number 4, the power of focus. I'm going to rush these ones now so that I can end. The power of focus. The principle here is selective attention. Whatever you focus on magnifies. I've said that before. It was Jack Ma who said, if you focus on the problem, if you want to feed a problem, focus on it. Focus on the negative, it magnifies. Focus on the positive, it magnifies. So constantly audit your focus. In all of these that we are in, ask yourself, what am I focusing on? How is what I'm focusing on making me to feel? And then if it is making you to feel negatively, change your focus. Spend time focusing on things that build your confidence. Focus supplies motivation from within to accomplish. Ask yourself, what am I focusing on that is causing me to lose my confidence? Some of us focus on the social, as funny as it sounds, social media handles of certain people. We look at them and we say, oh, they are doing so well. On social media, don't ever forget that there's so much fakeness in social media. So you are focusing on that social media handle, that Instagram page of that particular person. You are seeing how that person is thriving, and you are losing your own confidence. If that is your case, delete, block, and bar. Never ever underestimate the power of focus. I applied the power of focus recently when I traveled to Lagos on an assignment. There is a white blouse I wanted to wear. It had tiny, I love to wear white, by the way. It had tiny buttons from the neck to the bottom, tiny buttons from the hand sleeves, tiny buttons. And the question I asked myself was, you're going to be, because I was traveling out of my station, I would be in a hotel and alone in the hotel. I asked myself, okay, you're going to be alone in that hotel room. Will you be able to button all of these things and these ones on the sleeves all by yourself? And I said, I wanted to wear this shirt for this. I was having a meeting with a corporate client and I wanted to wear that white shirt. So I packed the white shirt. That morning, guess what I did? I wore the shirt. I focused intently on the buttons. I blocked out every noise, every distraction. My mind, my brain, my emotions were on those buttons. And I said to myself, okay, you can button this. Okay, you can button this. I focused intently on the tiniest buttons and I began to button. Ladies and gentlemen, in 10 minutes, I had buttoned both sleeves and I had buttoned the shirt from the neck to the bottom. The power of focus. What you focus on magnifies. Number 6, the power of, I think that's number 5, the power of positive affirmation. I've already talked about that. Never underestimate your ability to talk yourself up. I am capable. I have the resources to successfully navigate this. I've got this. I function in an effective and efficient manner. A number of us can remember the match between Naomi Osaka and Serena Williams several years ago. Naomi Osaka was just this young up-and-coming tennis player. Serena Williams was world title over and over and over again. Naomi Osaka went on to win Serena Williams. You would recall if you watched that match that each time she took a stroke and she won, she would do this. She would shake her fist. She would do this. She would do that. She would do this. I would never forget that match because I watched it. What was she doing? She was talking herself up. She was affirming herself. She could have focused on the fact that Serena Williams was this renowned world title. She would have focused on the fact that this lady that was her trigger, her stimulus. She would have allowed it to be a trigger. Amygdala would have hijacked her, and her ability to play rationally would have been disabled. On the flip side, you saw Serena Williams, who became flustered and began to behave irrational. At some point, she hit her bat on the ground and exchanged words with the umpire. She allowed her amygdala to hijack. Another strategy I want to talk about, coping strategy or mind mapping strategy, is a sense of humor. Are you able to see the funny side of things? Do you take yourself too seriously? A lot of us are too serious. Learn to laugh at yourself and at your mistakes. It is therapeutic. How about the power of gratitude? Keep a gratitude journal and document your progress. It will help you stay motivated and focused. It will help you evaluate where you need to make changes. It will show you your track record, what you have done well. It will keep you energized. And guess what? You'll be amazed at how far you have come. Sometimes our journeys are not obvious until we intentionally document them. How about the power of exercise? Exercise is not just for losing weight. It has a tremendous effect on your mental health. In fact, we all should be exercising at this time. When you exercise, you release what are called the endorphins, which is the feel-good hormones, which has a tremendous effect on your sense of well-being. So get into the zone of exercising. Exercise doesn't have to be anything strenuous. I went for a walk this morning before this session. You can take a walk. How about the power of social support? Who do you surround yourself with? In these times, you must be very intentional about the people you surround yourself with. You cannot do life alone. Life was not designed for isolation. Get into communities, supportive communities. Be very selective about who you surround yourself with in these times. Surround yourself with people who validate you, who affirm you. They will build your psychological capitals by the HERO acronym. H, your hope. E, efficacy. R, resilience. And O, optimism. When you surround yourself with people who dispense negativism, they drain your HERO capital. Before you know it, you are hopeless because they keep dispensing negative energy. They keep talking about what is wrong, what is going wrong. And they are evoking the wrong emotions in you and they drain your HERO capital. The power of a higher purpose. Ask yourself, for the sake of what am I able to endure what? Sorry, the power of prayers. I skipped that. The power of prayers, irrespective of whatever faith you are in. Prayer connects you to a higher power that is able to guide you. In the place of prayer, you receive strength, motivation, clarity, encouragement. So engage the power of prayers. The power of a higher purpose. Ask yourself, for the sake of what am I willing to endure what? Focusing on a higher purpose helps you to endure the present challenges. The option of therapy. Therapy is available. Speak to a professional, a psychologist, a mental health counselor. The journey to recovery from trauma begins with sharing. Help is always available. Don't suffer in silence. Seek help. The same way you pay to see a doctor for your physical ailments, pay to see a psychologist or a therapist. Never underestimate the power of verbalization. Once you verbalize what is wrong with you, your journey to healing has begun. When we get into the discussion sessions, you will let me know what other coping strategies you are using at this time. In summary, mindset optimization is about taking responsibility for your life. It's about acknowledging your reality, but not letting it stop you. It's not living in self-denial. That you reframe doesn't mean you should live in self-denial. You accept it, but you don't let it stop you. You redefine it in a way that doesn't halt personal decline. Accept yourself wholeheartedly. Look after yourself. Show empathy to others in your journey, despite what's going on. Sometimes our greatest freedom lies in not just what we can build for ourselves, but what we can create for other people. Do not be afraid of being vulnerable. I've said a lot about that in this session. Surround yourself with people, but set healthy boundaries. Know yourself, choose yourself, give yourself. Be a thermostat and not a thermometer. A thermometer fluctuates up and down on the environment, but a thermostat is stable and controls the environment. Choose to be a thermostat. Get out of the goalpost of your life and play in the midfield. Action breeds confidence. Inaction breeds fear. Never ever give up, irrespective of what life throws at you. Keep trying to become, irrespective of the hindrances. There's always a next level waiting for you on the other side. So do not give up. Keep going. Start by making small changes. One small change then becomes a springboard for another change, and then to another change. And before you know it, you are there. There's a future self waiting for you. After all of this too shall pass. There is a future self waiting for you at the other side. And in conclusion, remember that nothing means anything except the meaning that you give to it. And the meaning that you give to it is not the only one. Options are always available. No matter how chaotic life gets, when things fall apart, something new can rise up to replace it. Collapse does not only mean devastation, it can also mean opportunity. Begin to see your current reality as opportunity. And as I close, I'd like to leave us with this. Life is a lively process of becoming. So learn to enjoy every minute of your life, despite what life throws at you. Be happy now. Be happy tomorrow. Don't wait for something outside of yourself to make you happy. Think how really precious the time you have to spend here on earth is, whether it is at work, with your family, or wherever you do life. Enjoy every minute. God bless you and thank you.